Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Ariana, and 49ers football is back. NFL football is back, and we are here to react to the 49ers losing in kind of embarrassing fashion, except for it was a preseason game, so I don't know how you can be that embarrassed about a preseason game. Uh, but it's not looking so great. But we're going to get into it, and we're going to highlight some standouts. I have a lot of positive takeaways from this game. The 49ers lost 9-30 to the Denver Broncos. And seemingly, if you were listening to any, 49ers beat reporter, aside from one specific beat reporter that tends to put a positive swing on things, this preseason game went exactly how the joint practices went. In joint practices, from all counts, the Denver Broncos completely destroyed the 49ers. And today that happened in the game. To start out, get Carter Bradley off of my team. He should no longer. It infuriated me that he was getting valuable reps. It will not surprise me. I want to bet someone that Connor, I can't even say his name. Carter Bradley will not be on the team tomorrow. They should cut him tomorrow. He needs to not be on the team. And the fact that they wasted quarterback reps on him drives me crazy. I know Kyle doesn't value the preseason. A lot of that, like Kyle Shanahan crew, Sean McVay he didn't play Stafford, who's injured, but he also didn't play Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the Packers ended up playing Jordan Love for a little bit of but that whole crew, the only one who didn't is the Bengals coach Zach Taylor. He ended up playing all his starters, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, all those guys. But I mean, I think Sean McVay, although sleazy with the whole, trying to get guys injured thing, he's a really good coach. And he saw value in getting Bo Nix out there and then getting Sutton out there. He had his number one and his second quarterback play the entire game. Bo Nix played the first quarter and a little bit, and then Bo Nix, and then Sutton played the rest of the game. There was no quarterback one, quarterback four, or sorry, quarterback three, quarterback four playing. So yeah, the quarterback depth is horrible, but we're gonna get into it, and I want to actually start with positives, and or maybe I should let me start with the updates because Kyle Shanahan talked right after the game, and there's some injury updates that I think are important. So tomorrow is Sunday, and Renardo Green, cornerback, and Jacob Cowing, wide receiver, are going to be tested again. Both of them have been out with a hamstring injury. They're going to be tested, and hopefully, Kyle Shanahan said, depending on how that test goes, they'll be able to practice on Monday. They played today, so they're going to have tomorrow off. Then they're going to practice on Monday and Tuesday in Santa Clara. On Wednesday, they're going to fly to Vegas. Then they're going to have the joint practice on Thursday. They'll have Friday off, and then they have the Raiders preseason game in Vegas on that Saturday. So that's the way this upcoming week schedule goes. So hopefully Renardo Green, cornerback, and Jacob Cowan can be healthy for that. Marques Sigle, he actually was a standout. I have like standouts and then guys who I felt like were stocked down after this game. Marques Sigle had a crazy good game. He's a safety. He was all over the field, making excellent tackles. Nick Martin made a couple tackles, but he was aggressive, but he was really erratic and also missed multiple tackles. I think he missed about 5 tackles. Marques Sigle had that same aggression, but was not missing. So what sucks is he ended up leaving with a knee injury. But Kyle Shanahan says that they actually hope it's just a bone bruise and that their initial testing is that it's not too serious and it might be about a week, although they need additional tests to confirm. And to be fair, anything that Kyle says, you want some initial testing. You don't want to immediately believe what he says because sometimes it ends up being a lot worse than he anticipates. So that was Marques Sigle and his injury. Cornerback Upton Stout. A lot of people weren't sure why he wasn't playing. Was he not playing because he's, already proven that he could be a starter, and none of the starters really played this game? That's what I was hoping. I was hoping it wasn't an injury because he's been the standout of training camp so far. But he had some calf tightness. Calf tightness obviously scares people because the calf and Achilles are connected. Hopefully it's nothing that serious, but prayers up for Upton Stout. That's why he was not playing today. Also, Michael Williams, number pick 11 overall, their first round pick. He did end up hyperextending that knee, so he's going to miss at least a week. They do not anticipate that he'll be playing in the Raiders game, which honestly means he's going to be out probably a little more than a week. So that's a bummer. That's it for also Richie Grant did not participate because he was struggling with injuries as well. So that's why those players were not participating in today's game. So now I want to talk about the standouts and the positives before I get into negatives. The first guy that I had written down is Corey Kiner. He's the undrafted running back. And what scared the shit out of me is they don't have enough healthy running backs. So Christian McCaffrey isn't going to participate in any of the preseason. So like any of the preseason games, which I guess is fine, depending on I kind of wish he would participate a little bit, but if they want to save his body, that's fine. But the issue is Jordan James, he had surgery on his thumb or finger, so he's out. And then Isaac Rendo was suffering from an injury, and who's the other guy? One other guy's out. So it's just Patrick Taylor and Corey Kiner. Corey Kiner ended up playing the entire game. Now, he looked incredible, so that's really good. I think he should make the team. Let me see if it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, because usually they keep 5 running backs. So it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Rendo, Jordan James, Corey Kiner, Patrick Taylor. I bet that those are the 5 running backs that make the team. Last year, they kept 5. I think those will be the same 5. But what's scary for the joint practices and the preseason is it was very clear that Corey Kiner was probably not supposed to get the entire game. The guy that starts with an A ended up going in the 4th quarter for him, but immediately got injured, and they put Corey Kiner back out there. So what sucks about not having guys like Christian McCaffrey dressed and having Jordan James injured, Isaac Rendo injured, is there was only Patrick Taylor and Corey Kiner out there. So when they took Corey Kiner out and the next guy got injured, they had to put him in. And that's a lot of miles to put on this guy who's going to have one rest day and then probably need to be back out there on Monday participating. I think what they'll probably end up doing, this is just my guess, is we'll get an announcement tomorrow that they're cutting someone, just like for the 90-man, and going to probably sign 1 to 2 running backs for the Vegas trip. Because if Christian McCaffrey isn't going to participate and Isaac Rendo's not healthy and Jordan James isn't healthy, they need to have more than 2 running backs to be able to participate in the joint practices and the game. Steve-O says 4 running backs plus Juice. Taylor will be out. Yeah, you're actually right. Taylor will definitely be on the practice squad. But for right now, Kyle was explaining this earlier this offseason or earlier training camp with the wide receivers. They ended up right now they have 14, not really 14, but they have a lot of wide receivers on the team. At the end, they're going to cut that down, but they like to have 12 healthy wide receivers. But because they have 4 wide receivers that are on PUP, those guys count against the 90-man. So they had to sign. That's why they signed Robbie Chosen and Equanimeous St. Brown, who actually ended up getting injured. So that's why he didn't participate either. In case you were wondering what was going on with Equanimeous St. Brown, he's also injured, but they had they let him go and then they re-signed him. And that's because just to get through practice, there needs to be a certain amount of reps so that the quarterbacks can each quarterback can throw the ball a certain amount of times, and they don't want to overload the very few wide receivers because that increases their risk of injury. And that's what made me nervous about Corey Kiner. He looked fantastic, but at a certain point I was like, can we get him out of the game? He has had every single snap, every single running snap. That was it. And he was doing great. He should make the team. He's an undrafted running back, but the 49ers usually hit on those. He looked great. I was someone who was really rooting for Jordan James, and at the first practice that I actually went to, Jordan James was healthy at the time and looked really great running downhill. He was pretty physical, hit the hole really hard. Now he just had surgery, so I think that they're going to at least need to sign one to two running backs to take with them to Vegas. Maybe one, because I imagine that Christian McCaffrey will participate in the joint practice, but he probably won't play in the preseason game. That's just my guess. And if that's true, they need to have someone else to tap in for Corey Kiner, because they're putting a lot of miles on his tread on his tires before the season even begins. But yeah, pro standout was Corey Kiner. Just we need to not run our running backs into the ground before the season starts. Please, Kyle. Oh my God. Like, you can use guys in tandem. Even Patrick Taylor. I mean, Patrick Taylor was healthy. I think that they should have got him, like, when Corey Kiner went out and then they had the next running back come in and he got injured. Instead of having Corey Kiner come back in, I think they should have subbed Patrick Taylor in at that point, because Patrick Taylor had far less run than Corey Kiner did. And I just don't want to, like, you see someone has flashes and you're like, oh, this could be helpful. And then it's like, oh my God, you are running him into the ground and the season hasn't started. So Corey Kiner plus for him, cornerback Darnell Luter Jr. I thought he actually looked really great. He was flying around. There was the only thing that I'm not sure, because I'm also about to I'm going to highlight Chase Lucas, the nickel. The one play that I'm unsure about is there was this wide open touchdown. Like, the guy got to the corner of the end zone for Denver, and there was no one within 20 feet of him. Like, no one was near him. At 20 might be extreme. There was no one within 15 to 10 feet of him. And I can't tell, like, I watched the replay a couple times. Someone will probably ask Robert Saleh about it in the press conference, but I couldn't tell if that was on Darnell Luter Jr. and he let him go, or if it was on Chase Lucas. Both of those players I thought had really, really good games, but that was definitely a fuck up, whatever that play was. Or whatever that, like, missed assignment was. Some people on Twitter were saying it was Darnell. Some people were saying it was on Chase. So I do want to highlight, I'm not being ignorant. I do know that they made one mistake, but for the most part, I felt like Darnell Luter looked really good, especially, I mean, to start the game, the Denver Broncos were playing their starters, like Bo Nixon, their starting offense, and the 49ers were playing their backups. And we've heard so much, doubt about the secondary. And honestly, the secondary was, like, holding really strong. The 49ers defense allowed 0 points in the first quarter for the Denver Broncos. And I thought looked really, really good, especially being that it was, third and fourth stringers going against the starters. I was super impressed. I felt like a ton of energy from Robert Saleh. It felt like immediately you saw Saleh's impact. Like, Chase Lucas was blitzing like crazy. Like, it's a preseason game and they're coming out blitzing and sacking the quarterback right away, and just, like, had so much momentum and did not look like the team that they did or the defense that they did last year. And it was like, wow, holy shit. Like, I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to overhype a preseason game, but damn, like, you're already seeing the Robert Saleh effect, and maybe the, like, doubt in the secondary was overblown because these guys are looking really good. Now, the thing that sucks is I felt that way 100% throughout the first quarter, and then Denver took out their first stringers, and somehow after they took out their first stringers, it was all downhill for the 49ers, and the score speaks for themselves. Denver ended up scoring, or the final score speaks for themselves. Denver ended up scoring 30. So clearly there is some depth issues, but my initial reaction just in that first quarter was, hey, maybe the worry about the secondary is a little bit overblown. Darnell Luter Jr. looks great. Chase Lucas, I was like, who the hell is this guy? I was, like, tweeting. I was like, this guy is everywhere. He was jumping the quarterback. He was blitzing. He was tackling. He was fast. I thought that he really showed what's to come in the Robert Saleh defense. Like, no offense, but under Nick Sorensen, we got used to really, really vanilla defense. the defense kind of doing the same thing every single play and it being very easy to like figure out, where Robert Saleh, like I said, off the bat was blitzing and just using stunts, and he used Chase Lucas, the nickel, to do that. And it made me a little bit confident in that secondary if there were some guys to go down, or even if these guys would need to start at some point, because like I said, Renardo Green, we're not even sure if he's going to be healthy. So they might need Darnell Luter Jr. to play at least in the next preseason game as well. So like I said, Darnell Luter Jr., Chase Lucas, both of those were in my standouts. Safety, Marques Sigle, I kind of already talked about him. He ended up leaving the game with a bone bruise, which sucks because he had an excellent game. He's super fast. He was actually one of the faster guys coming out as well. So makes sense that he was so fast, but he was really aggressive and assertive and was not missing tackles at the same rate that Nick Martin was. Nick Martin, they obviously drafted this year, and although Nick Martin had flashes where he looked aggressive and made good moves, for the most part, I think Nick Martin missed 5 to 6 tackles. Like it was good he had, speed and aggression, but sometimes it was just like really miscalculated, where Marques Sigle had that same speed and aggression, but he was landing his tackles. So hopefully it's a bone bruise and he's okay, because he looked great. Linebacker Tatum Bethune, I thought he looked pretty good. For a backup linebacker, I was more impressed with him than I thought. Like I said, I thought the initial secondary that was going against the first string Denver Broncos, I thought they looked good. It wasn't until the game went on that I felt like they really fell apart. And a lot of that, obviously, Denver started scoring, so the defense did struggle, but a lot of that was also after like the third play in the game, the 49ers offense stopped scoring for the rest of the game. So that was something, by the way, that the 49ers struggled with last year. Sorry, I thought I was stuck for a second. But something the 49ers struggled with last year was the 49ers defense would like hold up, and then they'd get tired because the offense wasn't scoring. And then at the third and fourth quarter, the other team would end up coming back and winning. And people would be like, see, the defense let them down. And it's like, okay, well, you also on offense do have to score. Not to like totally give the defense an excuse, but so yeah, Tatum Bethune. And then on offense, I thought that Jordan Watkins, number 17, wide receiver that they drafted this year, I thought he looked great. Coming out, I think it was the third play of the game, maybe even the second play of the game. Mac Jones threw a 50-yard deep ball on third down, and Jordan Watkins caught it. It was beautifully thrown, beautifully caught, great ball. If you guys remember when Trey Lance was on this team, coming out the gate, he threw a deep ball down the field to Danny Gray, and it was that same exact play, just like a go route, go up, get it, run super, super fast, and win, be your man, and catch the ball. And Mac Jones to Jordan Watkins looked great today. Jordan Watkins ended up playing the majority of the game. I think he was in there into the fourth quarter. I know he was in there in the third quarter, and I thought Jordan Watkins looked really, really great. It was hard to judge him once Carter Bradley and Tanner Mordecai came in, because those two quarterbacks were freaking terrible. But we'll get to the terrible section. Sorry, it's not called terrible, but we'll get to the stock down section in a minute. But Jordan Watkins, at least when he had a competent quarterback, I think with Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, he's going to make an impact on the field. He'll definitely be a starter. And depending on what happens with Juwan Jennings, who is either holding out for money or has a calf injury, Brandon Ayuk, who's not, going to be there, at least not to start the season, I think that Jordan Watkins has an opportunity to make a big impact. He has looked really good in training camp, but a lot of times he's been with the second teamers. It was good to see him in an actual game, to see that, it's not just practice, but that he can play pretty well in an actual game. Okay, so standouts. I also put Junior Bergen, special teams punt returner. It's been a while since special teams has been a positive for the 49ers. They're usually, adding to the chaos and to the negativity. So Junior Bergen, they literally drafted him. Bryant Boyer, who's the new special teams coordinator, who they have interviewed a bunch this offseason. He said he targeted Junior because he wanted him as a kick returner, as a punt returner, and he did that today. His very first punt return was for 26 yards. He also returned 2 kicks for a total of 40 yards. I just felt like he made a positive impact. And it's hard, like when you're at least when I was at practice, it's hard to like judge special teams because you can't really tackle and you can't really simulate. They're not simulating punt returns. So I felt like I couldn't get a good judge on special teams in the mini camp or training camp. So it's the first time that I have really been able to see like, oh, what does that look like? And it looked positive. I was like, good. Although the old setter guy, what's that called? How am I blanking? The guy that holds the ball, the old guy, he's like 37. They got rid of our guy to hire him. He did fumble the ball. So that's not good. And when that happened, it was like, oh, 49ers football. That sucks. But punt returner, kick returner, things look good for the guy that they drafted this year, Junior Bergen. So that's special teams. Is someone I thought maybe long snapper. Thank you, Steve. I was missing that word. The long snapper did make an error, but Junior Bergen, who's not the 70-year-old long snapper that they went out and got, he's the young rookie. He looked good. Okay, so now for the stock down. Carter Bradley, who I kind of already talked about, he was 6 for 14. He played almost the whole game, 3 quarters, and only had 32 yards, 1 interception. Why the freaking hell? Sorry, I want to not swear. Why is he on the team? Because of nepotism. That's why. Gus Bradley is the assistant defensive head coach, which is a mouthful. He's an assistant to Robert Saleh. And because he's on the team, Gus Bradley, it's his dad. They let go of Tanner Mordecai. They ended up re-signing him, but they let go of Tanner and they had Carter Bradley on the team. He looked horrible. He looked so bad. It was like you couldn't. Well, like I said, I put Jordan Watkins in the standouts because with Mac Jones he looked really good. I mean, there was no way to judge any offensive player as soon as Carter Bradley was on the team. He was horrendous. Jake Tondis, one of the tight ends. The camera kept panning to him when there was this throw that it was challenged whether or not he jumped and caught it or if it hit the ground first. And the way the camera and the announcers were talking was like this was on Tongitz. Tongitz. I'm not saying his name right. Jake. This was on Jake. It was not on Jake. Carter Bradley threw that ball like 20 feet forward and Jake had to like turn around and run for it. Carter Bradley was so bad. There was also another throw where like he went to throw the ball and like dropped it behind him, like out of his hands, like fumbled it. But luckily there was like a holding, so it got called back. But I mean, multiple fuck ups where like his stat line isn't good. 32 yards, 1 interception, less than 50% completion, less than 40% completion percentage. That doesn't look good. And somehow it sounds better than it was. Like it was so bad. So yeah, Carter Bradley stock down. Tanner Mordecai eventually came in. He honestly didn't look that much better. Do I have his stats written down? I might. Okay, this was before the game was over, but Josh Dubow of the Associated Press, who's a 49ers beat reporter, said Mac Jones was 3 for 3 for 62 yards on the opening drive. Since then, 49ers quarterbacks Carter Bradley and Tanner Mordecai are 6 for 18 for 44 yards, 2 interceptions, and a 7.4 passer rating. Just a 7.4. Earlier this on Thursday when Trey Lance played, his passer rating was like 113 or 130. 7.4. Brock Purdy's average quarterback rating is like 90 or 100 or something. 7.4. Do you know how bad? Like, it was horrendous. It was a horrendous play. Mac Jones did also throw an interception. Although I put that way more on Spencer Burford, who's also in my stock down category. The 49ers are not going to win a single game that Spencer Burford plays left tackle. So hopefully, cross our fingers, Trent Williams is very, very, very healthy this year. Now, for the last literally 5 seasons, Trent Williams has missed anywhere from 7 to 3 games, you know? So that's not good because if he misses 3 games, the 49ers are losing those 3 games. If he misses 7 games, the 49ers are missing the playoffs because they're losing all 7 of those games, and their quarterback is probably going to get injured. So, like I said, I do not blame Mac Jones. I'm not trying to give him an excuse. I mean, he was, you know, you can't turn the ball over, and he's had, places where he has been on other teams where he has had opportunities to start, and as a quarterback you need to minimize your mistakes. So just because your offensive line is crumbling on you, you can throw the ball away, you can take the sack, you don't need to literally throw the ball to the other team. So I'm not trying to give an excuse for him, but at the same time, that offensive line is horrible. If Trent Williams is out for any amount of time, I really worry for Brock Purdy and for his health and for any quarterback that has to start outside of that, because if Brock Purdy and Mac Jones go out, the 49ers are gonna win 0 games with Carter Bradley or Tanner Mordecai. So they better get a different guy on their team. I don't know if this is like, I feel like some people might think this is kind of clickbaity or dramatic, but I was talking to a friend today and I was saying, like, if Brock Purdy ends up getting hurt, like, the people who are in support of the 49ers better hope that Mac Jones is good, because they passed on Shador Sanders, who just looked like a starting quarterback. Like, I'm not saying he blew my socks off, but he looked like a starting quarterback. He's making no money because he was a 5th round pick. He's making like $200,000 or something, maybe a little more than that, but he's making under $1 million. And the 49ers passed on him. I mean, he was a 5th round pick, so they passed on him 5 times. They better hope that they have a good starting or good backup quarterback in case anything happens to Brock Purdy. Knock on wood. I do not want something to happen to Brock Purdy. I really hope he stays healthy. I know he's a new dad. I think if he can stay healthy, the 49ers have a much better shot at winning, but it is very scary seeing this offensive line. They looked really bad. Burford looked bad. Nick Sigle looked bad. Ben Barch looked bad. Like, they stocked down for the entire offensive line, for all the quarterbacks, but especially Mac Jones when they were first starting. So I saved this tweet because I thought it was interesting from 49ers Nation. I get the 49ers want to get Carter Bradley reps, but at some point he's preventing other guys on the offense from getting reps because they can't stay on the field. I agree. Like, if you're trying to evaluate these wide receivers, these running backs, these tight ends like Jake Tonjes, who I can't pronounce his name, then you need to get a better quarterback on the field who can actually get him the ball, because he was so bad that the offense was just constantly going 3 and out. Okay, what else did I say? Nick Martin was aggressive and has a ton of energy, but has to learn to be consistent, missing several tackles. He missed several tackles, but did deliver on some big hits when he's able to connect. I don't think Nick Martin is going to start this year. I understand that some people are excited for him. The running back that fumbled and got injured was Amir Abdullah. Hopefully I'm saying that right. What was I trying to, I saved something that was, I was trying to talk about the offensive line. Spencer Burford cannot play left tackle. Absolutely do not have him starting. But I thought that I had saved, so Burford, Barch, and Sigle. None of them look good. Stock down for that entire offensive line. What's scary about that is at least one of those guys is going to have to be a starter. Like, those aren't just backup players. Like, they're going to be actual starters. So you have Trent Williams, you have Jake Brendel, Colt McKivitz, I think they're expecting that Ben Barch will start, but he didn't look good. And the guy that he's in competition with is Nick Sigle, and he didn't look good either. So we don't love that. Thank you so much, Papa J. Love you guys. Most concerning position from tonight. Thank you, Big Mig, like that. I went into this game thinking I was going to say secondary and defense, and instead I'm saying offensive line. And then because the offensive line is bad, quarterback depth. Because when you have a bad offensive line, you are more likely to have injuries at quarterback. The quarterback depth, horrible. Offensive line, horrible. Also, I mean, I gave Corey Kiner praise. I'm hoping that the injuries are a little bit like not serious, so maybe this won't actually affect the season. But the running back room, although there's a lot of guys who have potential there, there's a lot of injuries right now. Kyle Shanahan kind of talked about last year when they canceled the joint practice at Minneapolis. They were supposed to go to the Vikings and have a joint practice. And they ended up canceling it because of injuries. They have more injuries this year than they did last year, but they're still trying to keep their commitment, and they're just going to sign kind of guys off the street. But this is what happens when you don't invest in free agency. In free agency, they could have gotten a center. They could have gotten a backup left guard. They could have gotten a guy to fill in for Aaron Banks instead of Ben Barch. Like, Ben Barch had one good game last year where he got injured. He was injured all offseason last year. He's been injured all offseason this year. He did not look good in this game. I understand that the Packers overpaid Aaron Banks. I mean, Aaron Banks looked good in their preseason game. I'm not saying Aaron Banks is a world beater, and I'm not saying he's worth the amount of money that the Packers gave him, but there's slim pickings in the NFL with good, like there is not a lot of good offensive linemen in the NFL. So guys who are just decent and can stay healthy get paid a lot of money. I do think that they should have gone out and invested in that offensive line. I was advocating last year, not this offseason, but last offseason, for them to invest in the offensive line in the draft because it was a historic offensive line draft. They didn't invest last year at all in the offensive line. And this year they got Connor Colby, who is he even on the team? I haven't heard about him at all. He didn't even play. I think that he might have already been cut. It was the first preseason game, and the fourth stringers and third stringers were playing, and he was not playing. I think I heard about him in rookie minicamp, and people were like, he's bad. Phil says, really quickly before I get to you, Phil, just because we're talking about the position group, any running backs besides Taylor look promising? If you just joined the earlier, one of the first standouts I said was Corey Kiner. I thought he looked good. I'm nervous that he might have like a ton of soreness after tonight because he took literally like every single snap, aside from I think Patrick Taylor was in there for a couple drives. But majority of the night it was Corey Kiner, and I thought he looked really good, but I just don't want him to be injured due to overuse before the season even starts. But the 49ers, the one thing I'll give them credit for is usually their undrafted running backs are like better than the ones that they draft in the third round somehow. So yeah. Also, I did go to a couple training camp practices, and right now he's injured. He just got surgery, but Jordan James did look good in practice. So hopefully if he can heal up his hand, he'll look good. Phil says, do you blame injuries on the coaching staff and trainers? I mean, I think to some extent you have to. This has been a problem for all of Kyle Shanahan's tenure, is injuries. The thing that kind of sucks is they fired their strength and conditioning staff 3 seasons ago, I think, going into the 2023 season, or maybe right after that. They fired them and they got new ones, and they're still not good. Now, the guys that they hired were like former hockey player or hockey trainers, which is kind of weird. I wish that they would have gone and got specialists, guys who deal with football. Also, some people were pointing out that a major difference when they went to the joint practice with the Broncos and with the 49ers, where the Broncos spent way more time practicing way more time stretching before practice, where the 49ers didn't. Now, there is a lot of like conflicting information. I actually minored in kinesiology at UCSB. My major was psychological brain sciences, which is like psychology. And I minored in applied psych too. But a different thing I did was kinesiology. And there are a lot of like, depending on who you talk to in the scientific research, a lot of people say like static stretching not only doesn't help, but can negatively affect you if you do it before if you do it before a workout. You want to only static stretch after a workout. You want to engage in dynamic stretching before a workout. And from the videos and pictures that people are showing from joint practices, the Broncos were doing static stretching. The research is inconclusive. There's some papers that say do not static stretch at all before you work out. What I think is most optimal, and this is really time consuming, so I could see why people wouldn't want to do it. But I think if you're a professional athlete and your whole career, your whole job, everything you do is just about being able to perform, I find benefits. I was a college athlete, but I found benefits in static stretching. I thought that deeper stretch was really helpful. The thing is, you don't want to go from deep stretching to explosive movements right away. So what I actually would say is you want to static stretch, then do a dynamic warm up where you're slowly warming up your muscles after stretching. The stretching is like prolonged. Then you do your dynamic warm up. Then you get into the explosive actual practice. But I can understand that that adds literally like another hour to your practice that you might not have, since these guys don't have like 2-a-days anymore. So the 49ers are engaging in dynamic warm-ups before, but maybe they need to do more, or maybe they need to focus more on recovery. I mean, Corey Kiner, they also have to focus on overuse. Like Corey Kiner maybe stretched and felt perfect going into today's game, but if he feels sore tomorrow, it's just because he was overused tonight. So they need to be a lot more intentional on the amount of reps that they give people. I think that's why they're not playing Christian McCaffrey, is because they want to really have him on a rep count. I know with Ricky Pearsall, they were really strict on his rep count in all of training camp, especially working back from that hamstring injury. The short answer to this is yes, there's clearly like something is continuously wrong where the 49ers are one of the most injured teams for all of Kyle Shanahan's tenure. Like this is not an this year problem. This, like I said, they canceled joint practice last year because of this exact same problem. And Kyle was asked about it today and said, yeah, like we canceled practice last year and we have more guys injured this year, but we're going to try to, not cancel it this year. Hopefully they don't cancel it, because I have my tickets literally to Vegas already. So if they canceled that, I would be pissed off. I would just go show up at the Raiders camp and be like, hi, I'm here. I know you're not participating. I know the 49ers aren't here because they canceled, but I bought my ticket and I didn't pay for the refund thing, because on Expedia, the refund thing is expensive. But anyways, yes, I do blame the trainers. I just don't have a solution, except for maybe being more intentional about the reps that they get and stretching more and prioritizing recovery more. There's something they're doing wrong. You can't, if it was a one-off, like, oh, you're usually, in the middle of the pack, or you have some healthy years, some injured years, that's more random. If you're bottom 5 most injured team every single year for 7 years in a row, you're doing something wrong. Okay. Oh, I didn't shout out Kalia Davis. Sorry, I was looking at my stock down, and I realized that I skipped one of my standouts. And one of my standouts was defensive tackle Kalia Davis. He's actually a third-year player, but he struggled with injury his first year, so he wasn't on the field at all for the majority of the first 3 years he's been with the 49ers. He has not contributed, once again, because of injury. But today he looked really, really good in preseason. He and CJ West, I thought, really, really looked good. Alfred Collins didn't look good. He's a really big guy, but he has no pad level. You got to get down low. You got to be able to like stand in a squat, down low, below guys, so you can get up under them and push them away. Alfred Collins cannot do that. He pops up, and then because he knows he's not supposed to pop up, he kind of just like throws his hands up to try to pat a ball down, to like make up for the fact that he messed up in some other way. So he's like, if I can't actually shed this block, maybe I can bat down a pass. But he didn't bat down a pass, so that didn't work. And he also didn't shed a block. So stock down Alfred Collins. He is a rookie. Hopefully he gets better. He was injured. Talking a lot about injuries. He was injured for the start of he was not there for rookie minicamp. I can't remember who was there for There's rookie minicamp and mini camp, and then there's training camp. And I think he was injured for everything except for training camp. So I think he just started. To be fair to Alfred Collins, he might be warming up still. But I was trying to be positive. Stock up Kalia Davis, who sacked sacked Bo Nix right away. Also sacked Jared Stidham. Looked really good. He also swatted down some passes. Alfred Collins didn't, but Kalia Davis did. I thought for depth, he's going to be a good depth piece. He's not going to be a starter, but I think if the 49ers are in a position where they have to rotate Kalia Davis in, or someone goes down and he needs to start for a couple games, Kalia Davis, as long as he can stay healthy, will be positive. Okay. I think that's the majority of what I had. My first impressions of the first half were the run game actually looked pretty good. That was Corey Kiner. Return game had some juice to it. That was Junior Bergen, like I said. Tackling had improved with Marques Sigle, not with Nick Martin. There was not a lot of penalties. Penalties has been something that has killed the 49ers. I don't know. I didn't hear a lot of penalties for the Broncos either. So maybe these refs were just being more mellow because it's a preseason game. But there's been some games where it's just like flag, flag, flag. Although once Carter Bradley got in there, they were like, false start, didn't get off the line, didn't snap the ball in time. So I'm talking about Mac Jones when I say there wasn't a lot of penalties. That was before Carter Bradley, and I'm talking about everyone else aside from Carter Bradley, who once again I think is the player that I rate the lowest, maybe outside of Spencer Burford. Carter Bradley and Spencer Burford are the most stock down for me. But aside from those two players, I thought they did okay on penalties. Like I said, I felt like Salah's energy and the defense had an obvious energy shift from last year. I really love the blitzing. Spencer Burford, Ben Barch, Nick Zakel. I said, yikes. I literally in my notes have yikes, Brock. Pray for him. Why the hell is Carter Bradley on my team? And then I said, CJ West looked good. CJ West also looked good in camp so far. So it's really good to see a guy who's, especially a rookie, performing well in camp. It's like, okay, how is that going to translate on the field in an actual game? This obviously isn't a regular season game, but it's good that he is continuing to show that he's a really good player. I don't know how he fell to the 4th round. Like, they drafted Alfred Collins ahead of CJ West, and CJ West looks miles more pro ready than Alfred Collins. And then, like I said, I wrote down that I didn't think the secondary was as bad as I expected it to be. So those are my takeaways. I've been talking for about 45 minutes. Let me know what you guys thought about the 49ers Broncos preseason game. Stock down, stock up. Am I being too hard on the quarterbacks? It is like 10:30 here, so I'm a little tired. So maybe I'm being unnecessarily tough. So hopefully that's not true. But I really appreciate everyone who's in here. I see the Jim Everett the Great, who I think is a Rams fan. Is it true that they didn't play Jimmy Garoppolo? So they didn't play Matthew Stafford or Jimmy Garoppolo? What did the Rams do? Why didn't they do that? Is Stafford going to be injured? I hope, because I never want injuries for anyone, I hope Stafford is healthy. But I would not be opposed to the 49ers having to face Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that could be kind of a fun game. By the way, I think the 49ers would win. I know, but I just think it would be an interesting battle. Like, I like drama, so I think that would be fun. Everett says, Jimmy G is right. Kyle's plays suck. Kyle did not call plays today. That was Clay Kubiak. Not great. Steve Johnson. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Whoop whoop. 1999. That's super super nice. I like your glasses. Great breakdown of the games. Thank you. Sometimes I try to write down everything the way that I have it in my notebook. I don't know if it will focus, but I have major takeaways, updates from Kyle Shanahan's post-game presser, standouts, and then stock down. And that's kind of how I tried to organize it to be able to talk to you guys about it today. So I'll probably continue to do that for the next couple games. Like I said, I'm going to Vegas. So you guys better like and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'll be going live after the joint practice there. And I'll be going live after that preseason game. And then the 49ers are going to face the Chargers at home towards the end of August. And then they have that week 1 in Seattle. And then they're going to New Orleans. I think I'm going to go to New Orleans. I've never been to New Orleans before. So post-game presser was a joke. Audio crew sucked at Levi's. I didn't watch the post-game presser all the way through, but I get so frustrated like for the practices that I don't go to, because I only went to like 3 this off season so far. I'm gonna go to more, like I said. But I like to watch the post-game them talk right after. Either the audio is like completely unavailable and you just see this and you can't hear them at all, or they post it like 5 days later and it's like an injury update and I'm like, okay, well this no longer applies 5 days later. Like if you say someone is going to miss a Wednesday practice and you say that on Tuesday but they don't get it on their YouTube channel until Thursday, like this is no longer relevant. It's so frustrating. Last year they used to let content creator or like YouTuber beat reporters, whether it was David Lombardi, Grant, Larry, they used to let those guys post the pressers on their YouTube channel. They don't let them do that anymore. And that sucks for fans who can't be there because not only did I like to be able to have those press conferences posted right away, but a lot of times those, like at least I know with Grant, he like brought a little mic and he would put it up there. So the audio was so much louder. You could actually like hear them answer the question, hear the question being asked. Because even when they do post, like sometimes they don't post it for like days, but even when they do post it on time, a lot of times the audio is like super fucked up. And even if I have my headphones in, I'm like trying to guess what the question is based on whatever answer they gave. So sorry for the random little rant at the end, but I don't understand. We're in the 49ers are based in Santa Clara. That's basically Silicon Valley, Tech Nation, and they can't get their audio right. Very weird. Anyways, that was a random rant. I really, really appreciate everyone tuning in. It's fun to have actual football to talk about. I really hope the 49ers are good this year. I try to be unbiased when I'm doing reviews and be critical if I want to be critical, but I do want them to win. It's fun when they win. Today didn't really, tonight I felt like didn't really matter because it was a preseason game, but it is scary when all the reporters, Broncos and 49ers reporters say, hey, when the 49ers face the Broncos in joint practice, they did not look good. And then you see it in the game and they did not look good. And it's kind of like, oh shoot, hopefully they'll look good in the real season. Because I've been really negative towards the end, I'm going to run through super quick and then I'm going to end it. My standouts were Corey Kiner, running back, cornerback, Darnell Luter Jr., nickel, Chase Lucas, linebacker, Tatum Bethune, wide receiver, Jordan Watkins. He had that really pretty, by the way, it was a 50-yard deep ball on 3rd down. That's the only 3rd down that they completed for the entire game. So stock down on the offense, but stock up for Jordan Watkins. And then special teams had the shout out of Junior Bergen and D tackle depth piece Kalia Davis. So that's me trying to be positive at the end. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And yeah. Jake Moody didn't miss a field goal. There we go. Or extra point. There we go. I appreciate it. Make sure to stay hydrated because it is very hot in the Bay Area. Thank you so much to Julie. Thank you to Steve-O. Thank you to my dad, who I see in the comments. Love you so much, Daddy. Thank you to Steve Johnson for that super chat. I always really, really appreciate those. If you guys can leave a comment and make sure to like and subscribe. Like I said, I'll be going live tomorrow. I'll be doing a stream with Tom Jensen on Tuesday, which is going to be after practice. Sports Illustrated Tom Jensen. And then on that Wednesday, I will fly that same day. The team is flying to Vegas. I'm going to go to Vegas. And then I'll be doing live streams from Vegas and from the joint practices. So make sure you guys don't miss those. Thank you, Alan. I see you guys, and I really appreciate you. Have a great night. Bye, guys.